Okay, I think that's good. Come on. There's totally not... You don't see these orange things. Oh, well, now you totally see it. Great. It's tough getting this. This is quite a small green screen. Getting this positioned quite right here. Alrighty. That's better. Okay. So today, we're going to take a little break from all of the explanations, and we're going to be just working on this beat we have going. We're going to be using our synth to make specific things happen, specific patches. So we're going to be using, I'm going to be using the ones, my synths, since in Ableton to do it, because they are going to offer me the tools to do so. Although I am going to try to make some patches with Soundtrap's synth as well, and see if I can fill in any parts with some basic synth patches in there. But mostly it's going to be me doing it in my software, and then I'll export it as a file, move it over to the online DAW, online Soundtrap. So I'll upload it to the site, and then I can use that sound within Soundtrap for my project. So I've titled it Building Practical, or I'm not sure, something like Synthesis Part 2, Practical Patches, right? We want to, something, that was in the description, we want to make some typical sounds. So there's some helpful sounds as well. Let's do it. So we're going to start ourselves off in Ableton today. You can see here we have, actually, before I do so, I've done a couple adjustments before we started, so I want to just go ahead and play through what we have here. All I did is I adjusted some of the pitches in these bass samples so that it matched the chord progression better, and I took all of my guitar slices. Everything's muted right now, hold on. Took all of my guitar slices and I moved them a little bit forward. So what I mean is, before, all of the guitars were kind of like aligned to here, like right there. And I just moved them, I just delayed them a little bit because I was playing it back and I felt like the guitars were happening a little too soon. They weren't laying back enough. So I moved them back in time, or I moved all of them back a little bit so that they lay back in the beat some more. So let's see if that kind of helps things out. And I know it does. I've just let you all do the judge of that. So let's see. I'm gonna make zoom it out so you can see the whole thing. It's still called Effects Demo. If y'all have a better name for this track, please enlighten me. But this is literally, that's the purpose of this track, was to show off some effects. But I'm terrible at naming songs, so please help. Please help. I don't believe you are hearing it. One moment. Yep. Let me just ensure that it's coming through. No. Alright, one sec, guys. You should be able to here. If not, it's probably a simple fix here. Probably just something plug back in. Let's see. Audio's coming from there. Perhaps it is the scene. Let me try. Can you get the scene here? Weird. I'm gonna just. Okay, I'm just gonna quickly deactivate. One sec. I need to change my scene then. Actually, yeah, I need to have it open. Darn. Alright, you're gonna see a black screen for a second. Okay, and hopefully we should have audio after this. Device. I'll check that while I'm streaming. Interesting. Okay. Nothing's still. It's strange. Yeah, I can see that nothing's coming through. So weird. See, I thought I had everything prepared. Yeah, just give me one moment here. Custom audio device key. Oh, I don't want to do that. Maybe that was why it happened. Because I put in custom audio. Still, and let me try changing the output on my computer. So sound. I'm using this. That should send it to my own cutout. Let's check the cables here. Multi output. I know that I was using the aggregate, but let me just try switching to that. Aha! It was the multi-output. Okay. Yeah, this sometimes is confusing. It was confusing for me when I set it up. It's like, one Apple is weird in the way that it combines its, everything about it is strange. But we're back, and you can hear the song now. So, as I was saying, I had taken all these guitar tracks and delayed them a little bit in time because they felt like they were too forward in the beat, so it was like it didn't lay back enough. And I can probably demonstrate, but I'll just go ahead. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'll do that. I can quickly undo this anyway. I'm going to move them back to their original point. So they were at first here, right? Kind of more lined up. And then you'll be able to hear the difference between measures 1 through 4 and 5 through 8. So here's without that little bit of delay. Very subtle, very, very subtle. And it would be easier to hear. There we go. Okay, I deleted it back. I didn't mean to do that. Be a lot easier to hear if I just kind of brought it back with it where the beat was going on, and you'll be able to much better hear the difference. So this is forward a bit. Okay, I'll bring it back. We'll bring the beat forward. I'll bring a repeat. What do you call this? Loop selection thing here. The purple zone. We'll move that forward so that this section loops. Loop region. So here's without a delay. It's kind of like it feels like it's rushing a little. Here's with the delay. Kind of grooves a little more, doesn't it? I think so. So then, yeah, I did that. Make sure that I got my changes back. There we go. All right. Let's go ahead and listen to this whole thing through. I changed some of the notes in the bass down here as well. I don't know if I mentioned that already. We'll get there. Effects and no effects. So what I'd like to do arrangement wise, I'd like to expand out this well, I kind of like how it goes right into the beat here, but then maybe I want to have some sort of build up here. Okay, alright, something can happen here. I want to expand. Alright, well, actually, I want to take all this ending section. All of this. Okay, including the transition, that's fine. I'm going to move it forward 16 bars. Okay. Then that will give us extra room to have a little build-up section here. And then that will lead into sort of a drop-ish thing. I don't know. I kind of use the same. I use terms that pertain to like electronic music, arrangement of electronic music. But I kind of want to have a section that leads us into a more busy, like, version of the beat here. So it's gonna go right in, right? Go right into this initial beat, and then this initial beat might even be simpler. Like, this doesn't need to have so much going on. Like, it can maybe be... Okay, let's go into our piano roll and let's figure something out. So... let's get a quick loop going. Well, let's find... Okay, so... Probably don't need this yet. That kind of drives you along, doesn't it? Maybe I'll leave this little fill. I'll take out this first snare though. That might work. Maybe if I take these out. There. Let's see how that sounds. And something can happen here. This can come in somehow. What effects can we apply to this? Because this kind of like, I feel like it needs to be broken up some. Also, some automation is necessary. Give us some motion to the next sections to either side. Well, we'll get into that down the line. Doing some automation. Let's see. What could I have on this that might? I'm looking for like a gate. Auto wah. Okay, that'll have to do. No. I want actually an auto, like, tremolo. That's what I'm looking for. Now, something I really wish you could do in Soundtrap that for some reason you can't. Let's say you wanted to add some automation here, so you clicked on this little, my mouse software is not launched. And thought I told you to launch on startup. Anyway, so yeah, you were to click on this little automation thing here, and you wanted to perhaps move one of these effects automatically for you. But that doesn't, there's no option for that. There should be like a little effects thing here, and then that brings up all of these knobs that you can change. All of this, and then all of that. But it doesn't. It only gives you pan, sweep, and volume. But hey, let's try using them. Sweep is a good one. Sweep kind of gives you some like really simple ways of making transitions. So maybe I'll add something here. So we've got a muffled sweep. This is kind of like putting a low pass filter on it and then bringing it up. So I'll show you. So if I bring it all the way down, you can't hear it at all because it's completely filtered out. If I were to bring it up to like maybe there like 30%, you can hear it a little bit. It's hard to hear with this sample, but yeah, the high frequencies are coming in, so maybe that might not be the best transition effect for this because it's kind of hard to hear it coming in. So let's try a different one. Let's try hollow. Ah, I see. You can't control this knob here. I wish you could just like take this knob and then or like you know it's plus automation. Okay, so you can only that's discouraging. I thought you could there was another lane for it. Like you could control volume and pan too, but not the effects, man. Not the effects. All right. It's fine. Let's test out hollow. So this is with it all the way up. Yeah, this appears to be a high pass filter because I can only hear the really, really high end, the top end. So that's good. Then let's use that. Let's have the filter sweep down. If you remember the shape of a high pass. Okay, let me draw it the other way. So everything. So it's kind of a curve like that. And then everything on this side, right? I'll just okay. I'll just plug my iPad in. This camera has a different perspective for y'all than it is for me. I don't know. I can't really explain that one with my hands, can I? So, oh, and yeah, July 4th is tomorrow. That is a thing. Hope y'all are going to celebrate your own way as Key West ain't doing it. But I digress. Independence Day, man. Alright. Let's see. I want to pull up my... I was not planning on doing iPad stuff today, but I do want to remind y'all of the shape of a low pass filter. So you're going to see my face again from a different angle. Whoa. That's right, 2 cameras. But I want to pull up this. So if we come back up here, this is the shape of the high pass filter. This is all your frequencies, right? So remember, if we looked at our, if we looked at an EQ. Oh, by the way, this is a. I'll get to what this is. I'm making a bass patch. I'm making some sounds for our drop section here, and then I might make a pad sound next for this interim section, and then maybe some sort of arpeggio. So yeah, okay. I've got some ideas for what sounds I want to add next. But EQ, let's take a look at the EQ and remind ourselves what a high pass filter is. I'm just gonna find any old loop, Diplomatic House. Hey there, synth loops. Ooh. That's actually really nice. I might be able to use that. Yes, again, this is a synth that someone else designed, a patch that someone else did. But of course, we can always shape it to be our own. So I'm gonna drag in an EQ. Okay, I'm going to drag in an EQ. Okay, I'm going to double click on the EQ, and it's going to load. Whoa there! What in the world is all these effects? What happened? Did I have all of them? Did I like select them? What in the world? How did I get all this stuff? I didn't even load this. Anyway, alright, well, we can just delete it all then. Boop, 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 boop. Alright, EQ. So this is the high pass up, right? I'm curious if it'll work with the song. Hold on, I'm gonna try to sync them up. See, it just works. How? What luck? What luck, I tell you. So that'll be a nice synth to add on top. Cool. So kind of high pass it a little bit, and then I can add some delay on top because we can have some really cool. Oh, I didn't do grain delay last time. Grain delay is a much. Whoa. All right. This is gonna take some explaining. But yeah, it is another form of delay. So I've done the what is it? The echo, the delay, and the filter delay, and those are all much simpler versions. So the delay being the left and right ear, and the filter delay being different frequency ranges having their own repetitions. This one though, I'm honestly not entirely sure how it works, but we're going to move it around and we're going to hear what it does. Interesting. You can move this around. Okay, what I'm gonna do is have the original clip, and then I'm gonna make. Okay, I have this drawing thing. Well, that's fine. Whenever I hold Option, I can draw on the screen, and it disappears. I don't even have time to draw a smiley face. Okay, that's not... Alright, I'll turn that off. Okay. I need to be able to draw a smiley face. But yeah, we have a high passed little synth here, and I've thrown a grain delay on it. Sounds pretty cool. What I'm going to do is have one clip that's not affected, and then this other clip where I'm going to automate some effects where I couldn't do in Soundtrap. I'm going to just move this little dot around, and it's going to move some of the parameters over here. So that being some of these numbers. And we're just going to, you know, mess with the dot and record my automation and see what we can get out of it. First, let me make sure that I am in record mode. Okay, I think I'm going to have to do it in the arrangement view. Yep. With audio, I'm going to have to do it here. Okay, that's fine. Let's maybe, like, make a little arrangement then. So we have our dry. This will be dry. And then next will be affected. Okay, can you not? Can extend this out. It'll automatically loop for us. Awesome. Excuse me. We'll go over here, and we'll do an affected version. Maybe not that much space. We'll just do a measure or so's worth of space. Because what I'm going to do is basically make like one long wave file that I can export that's going to have a bunch of loops in it, and then I can export that all into Soundtrap on one track, slice it up, and then have separate parts from that. Instead of exporting all the tracks one at a time, because the way that exporting works in Ableton, or in any DAW that is it takes the sum of all your tracks, all of your work, and it just exports it all out as one audio file. So if you're doing stuff across multiple programs like I'm doing, or if you're trying to export audio from one thing to another thing, and you have like a lot you'd like to move over to Soundtrap, unless your DAW has the ability to export multi-track, which a lot of DAWs do, it's better to just, in my case, I'm just going to lay them out one after the other, because we're just kind of creating. We're not really creating a song right now. We're like creating loops. We're creating sounds to use in the song over there. So now, that being said, I didn't create this sound. I just found it in my loop library, but it works so well that I'd like to use it. Excuse me, 1 moment. I would like to use it. I'm also going to make some of my own sounds. I wanted to make a pad, an arpeggio, and a couple more bass sounds. So okay. Had to blow my nose. Alrighty. so we've got this thing here. I'm going to affect one of these parts. So let's turn that out. Turn that off. Play. Whoa. Well, that was quite cool. Oh, excuse me. Did it? Wait. I don't think I have automation recording on. Yeah, I definitely don't. Alright. Well, let's do this then. Grain delay off. I'll go ahead and go to the beginning and press record. I'm gonna actually move up this filter. And then we're gonna have that going on. So if we bring up all of our automation, you can see here I've moved this frequency A. I can bring that down here. Whoops. And now you can see that little bit of movement I've created. I can select this. This is a cool thing I can do with Ableton. I can select it and say simplify the envelope. So now we've got, okay, nice little motion there for our high pass filter. And then for this one, I'm going to move around the grain delay. I'm going to turn the grain delay on. So I'm going to automate that as well. So grain delay is going to turn on there, and I want this to then go crazy of all sorts of things. So start a feedback. I'm actually going to experiment a little bit. Let's move our loop region. So this is what the loop region looks like in Ableton. I want to make sure loop is on. Okay. Don't want to mess with pitch. Oh. Well, that's cool. Let's mess with that some then. This is just getting crazy, isn't it? Alright, so then we have our affected version. We're going to turn our grain delay back off after that. Right here. Okay, I want it from go from on to off. Get that a little bit closer so that I have more room to do some more stuff with it. Alright, let's actually then design a patch now. Let's do something with a synthesizer. Close down our EQ. Alright. Awesome. Yeah, we'll leave this one here. I'm going to mute this track so that we don't hear it anymore. And we'll move on to the Serum instance. So, check it out. So right now, I'm working on a little bass sound for the very purpose of this section here. Something to help this bass along. So first thing I'm going to do, well, actually not. Actually not. Changed my mind. But we will end up making space. We're going to double the size of this section. That's something we can do right now. That's not too hard. Just have to close down the automation. You can see here there's a line on it. That means there is that. You can see that hollow sweep still on there, so quite useful. So let's take this whole section now. And then let's drag it. Oh, I don't want to take that entire section. We could split this clip here. Whoa, what happened there? I'll get rid of that. Anyway, take this, and we will Option, drag it over to copy it. And now we have our beat a little bit longer. Twice as long. So then we're going to be adding some more stuff down here with the bass. So let's come up with some sounds for it, shall we? I'm going to make sure that this track is record enabled. So I was thinking of some... So I was coming up with a little sound. Basically, I got two oscillators here, oscillator A and B. They've got some sine-like. Well, this one has a sine waveform on it, but it's actually being put through a warp, a waveform warp. So maybe if I turn this off for a little bit, you can see this is what the waveform originally looks like. But I'm putting it through something called a mirror, which manipulates the waveform like this. And I'm also automating it. I'm automating a lot of stuff. I'm using an LFO to automate like this a little bit, this little bit. The level of oscillator A. You actually can't hear oscillator B because oscillator B is actually feeding into oscillator A through this here called FM. And I'm not gonna get too much into that. It's kind of a up there topic, but if you're getting into bass sound design, that's something you're gonna be quite familiar with, is the FM. Frequency modulation. I mean, I guess I could briefly explain what it is. I mean, what is frequency modulation? Well, what are some of the other options we have? We have all sorts of things we can do to a waveform. FM, AM, and RM. Well, I'm going to talk about FM and AM. FM is frequency modulation, meaning one of the oscillators will basically modulate the frequency of the other oscillator. So it's like putting an LFO on the pitch of this oscillator, but that LFO is not actually low frequency, it's actually just a pitched frequency. So it's a high frequency oscillator. You're putting a high frequency oscillator on the pitch of the other oscillator, and it ends up sounding like this. Let me just show you what it sounds like. I'm gonna load up a fresh patch. Load up a fresh patch here. I'll leave this one alone for now. One sec. I'll be right back. It's too hot in here. Gotta open my air vents. Oh my goodness, why aren't they open?
Okay, well, this might explain a lot as to why my room is fire.
Metaphorically. Alright, anyway. So, we have a fresh new patch here. Let's make a bass sound, shall we? I'm going to do some FM. So, this one's still record enabled. Turn this one on. So let's select the sine wave. Kind of like a noisy sine. And then I'm going to select oscillator B. Let's turn down oscillator A so we can just hear what this one sounds like. Sine wave. And now I'm going to turn down the level of it. I'm going to turn it all the way down. And then I'm going to turn on FM from B on oscillator A. And then that's going to give us an effect like this. So we just hear original oscillator. Let me just make it a sine wave, actually. And then if I turn up FM, you'll start to kind of hear the saw wave within this sound. If you turn it up more, you get some interesting sounding effects. And that varies depending on the wave shape of your other oscillator. So what I'm going to do then, I'm going to actually look for a pre-made patch here. I'm going to alter it. We're going to work backwards. So let's try this one. Res. Meh. Oh, that's literally just a noise. Also just a noise. Wow, are these all just noises? Okay. Let's choose then shocking bass house. Oh. That was pretty good. So what is it made up of? It's made up of this waveform getting a FM from this waveform. You can only hear this one, so it's kind of the same setup as before. This one's level is all the way down. This one's level is up, and it's being controlled from FM. So you're getting some warping of this wavetable from this wavetable. By the way, wavetable meaning a collection of waveforms. So like these synths work by, as you can see here, kind of like 6 distinct shapes, and then you have like a gray area between them. Essentially, what's happening is you have 6 unique waveforms, and Serum is morphing between them, so you get up to 256 waveforms. But I'll digress. This diagram shows you what the wave shape is, and obviously it sounds different depending on where it is. And you can automate it. So it's on it. A lot of effects are on this. Ooh. That's a nice sounding. How much is it being automated? Ooh. What if I go like backwards? Ooh, that's nice. If I automate this a little bit. Or maybe if I do like, we end up with the noise. Yeah. Okay. Oh, it bends too. if I do the noise like this? I'm trying to clean it up a little bit. What else is on it? A little bit of reverb. Meh. I'll turn that down to some. A lot of EQ. I'm emphasizing something around there. We got a little bit of dimension. I can throw some distortion on too. Guess that could help. Alright. Maybe some hard clipping around a certain area. You know what? This isn't being automated. The sub needs to be automated too. There we go. Now I get a nice clean. Yeah, totally different sound depending on on how you shape this LFO. Does have a high pass filter built in. Alright, I think this filter is kind of... Maybe I'll automate this filter cutoff a little bit too with a what else could I do on this sound? I'll throw a strange filter shape on it. Yeah, and that could perhaps happen at a certain time. Let's turn up the drive. Maybe let's automate this a bit. Let's actually kind of like make it like randomly step instead of like a smooth motion. I want it like a staircase to kind of jump between values. So let's try something like this. Maybe a little bit slower. Okay, I'm going to save this patch as something else. So we'll do SF. Okay, I'm going to go to my presets, basses, SF. Let's do stepped plus stepped housey. I don't know. Something. Because I want to make variations of this patch now. I like this sound, but now maybe I want something like this. I mean, I can always automate all these parameters. Like, we got one for filter cutoff. We've got one for wavetable position. We got one for stereo, which I think I'm actually going to undo. Yeah, I don't think we need this. Yeah. How about maybe a delay? Maybe like a... maybe a really, really fast delay. Let's try that. Ooh. Kind of makes it like... It's like kind of like a slapback echo. Let's do a plate reverb. Let's put this before compression. I'll kind of enhance it a little bit. Maybe I'll put this after. I'll do this. I'll do distortion. I'll make that a parameter instead. Distortion. Actually, what I wanted to do is move that filter down. I didn't want to... Maybe you wanted to just control it with this LFO, actually. Yeah. And if anything, we can always put an auto filter after this patch. We could just use an effect, right? Just use an effect. So let's do that then. Auto filter. So this can be like variation 2. How does it sound with the cutoff all the way up? I'm just gonna like... Wow. Extremely aggressive. I like it. I kind of want to make more levels of this. Can I increase the grid? Yes, I can. I'm going to make this a 16 grid, and I'm going to do several more steps, and I'm going to slow down this LFO so that we get more variations of that rhythm that's kind of going on. So let's maybe like have this down here, that there, that there. I don't know. I'm just kind of picking levels at random. This one's going to jump back up, so let's try this then. Like that? Okay. Yeah, I gotta slow it down. So you can always play it like, but if you hold it out, the variation will start to come in. Yeah, let's do that. Stepped Housey variation 2. Maybe for the third variation, I'll change up the filter that we're using on it. So I'll throw notch 12 instead. Oh my goodness. Turn down the filter cutoff first. Jesus. Yeah. So now I'm just cutting like random notches out of it. Maybe not. Perhaps I'll do something a little bit more dramatic, like a band notch. Yeah, you know what? I gotta move this one too. I'll move this one backwards. I'll change the pattern slightly. In fact, I'll make another pattern. I'll make yet one more pattern. And then maybe some of them will be still up and down like this. So like that'll be like that, and then this will be downwards. And this will be upwards. So now we got a shape somewhat like this. And then maybe if I put that on... Or maybe if I do that to this one too. Perhaps if I had some like cool variation in, so it wasn't always just a step, and then maybe we had like a motion up there, and then we had like a motion down here. Yeah, this will take up 3 bars. Then it'll go down. So now, then I'm going to let this, okay, I'm going to take that out. We're going to put that on our cutoff and make that much more dramatic. And then we're going to put this on our frequency. Move it a lot less slow. Perhaps I reverse them. Maybe I'll put LFO3 on the cutoff and LFO2 on the frequency. Let's try that. I'm not satisfied quite yet. This one needs to be on trigger. This one needs to be on trigger. Perhaps this one doesn't go up far enough. Cool. What if I wanted to go faster? What if I wanted this to like bend a little? I like that. Nice. Okay, so that'll be our third variation then. Okay, let's get all of those in now. So what I'd like to do, so save this as variation 3. I'm going to create 3 separate tracks. This one I said I was going to leave alone. What's going on in this track here? Oh yeah. my weak first attempt. I'm just going to delete this one, and we'll duplicate. And now I'm going to load up on this first track. I'm going to load up variation 1. Okay, so user, my preset spaces, stepped housey, and then on this track I'm going to load up stepped housey version 2. This is variation 3, so I don't have to do anything to track number 3. So I can do my preset spaces, variation 2. So now we have this. Oh yeah. Then we have this. And then we have this. So, what have I just done? Well, I've created 3 drastically different sounds, but all from the same patch. So, they kind of sound, I would say, coherent. So, like, I would say this, when you're doing bass sound design, if you are doing bass sound design, if you end up doing it, you should start from one patch. Start from a single patch. Make something interesting. Make something basic and interesting sounding, like an interesting sounding waveform, and then just kind of mess around with it. But once you get, once you're like, as you're in the process of sound design, once you find like a good sound, you find a good spot, save your patch, and then you have sort of like a snapshot of a good sounding thing. So then you can just come right back to it, and you can now, I have 3 different variations of things that sounded cool to me, and I didn't just throw them away. So now, yeah, I've just created a bunch of sounds. So where maybe I'll start from, so what I'll do next is I'll start from patch number 1, and I'll do some modulations of it to make even more interesting variations. And then once we get some variations of that recorded in, we'll bounce it out to audio, and then we can have a bunch of different sorts of like bass gestures and sounds that we can slice up and use as our drop. Capiche? So then let's take a look at number 1, and let's see what we can modulate with it. Tell you what, I'm going to take off high pass filter. I want something a little bit more interesting to happen, so maybe I'll throw on a phaser. Maybe I'll modulate frequency. Whoa! That's cool. Kind of tuning it. So then I'll control the amount of phasing with this macro. Wow, it's very subtle. Maybe not. You know, I've changed my mind. Perhaps we use chorus instead. Maybe if I move the delay around with it. Maybe I'll have the depth go down as it goes up. Yeah, that sounds cool. What is this exactly doing? Maybe not. Let's not do that. Let's do the mix of the hyper instead. Or not at all. Not at all. Never mind, we'll not do the hyper. Grab some delay instead. Yeah, let's have stereo control that. It's kind of like a washout. Ah, yes, this is supposed to control the mix of the chorus as well. So now I go from here. That's cool. Save, overwrite. Yeah, I'm a... Now what about number 2? Let me try a different type of distortion. Ah, okay, no. Perhaps I can bring it in with the LFO. Okay, and that can come in and out. Awesome. Alrighty, then how about number 3? Then I'm going to start recording some stuff in. I'm just kind of like messing around with it and see what we can work with here. This one is kind of the longer version. Nothing's really happening with the distortion here. Although it is controlling something. Is it controlling again? This? No. Oh, wait. Okay, this is controlling. What did I do with macro? Oh, yeah, it was the... Hey, no, that can be controlled by an LFO. I want this to actually be for distortion. So drive and mix. Maybe play. Okay. I'll put the compressor after the distortion. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then let's lay down do with like something better. That's gonna take some adjustment. This can ease in maybe. Nah, okay, I can come right in. Just lower down the cutoff. Can I lower the FM effect, maybe? Interesting, this doesn't have any, kind of tuning it still. I'm never quite satisfied. Okay. What in the world? Where is it recording? Oh, it's recording here. Alright, you know, I'm just going to draw it in. I could draw it. Yeah, so let's go insert mini clip here. What is the shortcut for that again? Mini clip. Insert silence. I. No, that's like arrangement wise. I have to select an area, perhaps? Yes. So let's find our E flat. Make a note. Okay, just making notes in the same progression we have in our sound trap song here. So E flat, D, E flat, G, E flat. What is the next one? Oh yeah, it's back here. Huh. A flat. And then and then I know the last one is B flat. Goes back to 1. That's supposed to be B flat, not a C. Perfect. Now let's move our loop region forward. Now let's try automating stuff. So I want cutoff to have a more dramatic effect. Could do something with that cutoff. Let's move, okay, let's move, whoops. Macro 2 can be up, come down, go back up, and then the cutoff can do this, so we have serum. Okay, we need to actually move it first. Right, then we get cutoff. So start down here. Let's bring it up here. We need to do some more in depth. We need to get a little closer here so that we can do some quicker movements. Make some envelopes here. Maybe make the lower portion or the lower end of that cool. Boom, boom, bam, bam, yo, wham, yo, something like that, you know? Something like that. So macro 2 is here. I think I've got it already. Yep, I've got an automation lane for it already. Let's make macro 1 appear. So far we have that going on and that going on. What else can we do with this? Well, let's see. Maybe we can change the rate of this. Yeah. Let's compare, well, let's just make available to us all the automation we need. So stereo, high pass filter, we want to change the rate of this LFO, we want to change the rate of that LFO, we want to change the, perhaps we want to change this, and then perhaps we want to change distortion wet? No, we don't want to change that. What do we want to change? Perhaps the level of our phaser? We can have this on for a sec. And then maybe that on for a sec. So maybe these can come in then. And macro 4 or macro 3 can come up here. That can come up and then come immediately down on the next measure. I will change the speed of LFO1 here. So start it out at eighth notes, bring it down to quarter notes here. This might be quarter notes, I'm hoping it is. Nope, that is half notes. Maybe that's something like that. Yeah, something like that. That up there, that down there. Yeah, that's what I want. And then maybe we can adjust this FM amount. Perhaps cut off. Let's do a stepped filter cutoff here. Yeah, something like that. So then we get like this. I could even slow the rate down a little more. Here. Yeah, so maybe bam bam wah. Bow. No, maybe not. Maybe not. Like that. If it's gonna go like that, maybe not. Perhaps if I go like there instead? Nah, that's just gonna cut it off entirely. Nah. 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 I don't think so. Maybe we just keep it 16th notes. What is that at? 66. 64. Okay, if I hold shift, I can adjust this by small amounts. That's pretty good. Maybe if this steps down or something. So, boom, 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 boom. And what else could I vary here? Maybe the warp of B, perhaps? I don't know if that's going to make much of a difference. Yeah, okay, kind of did. What else could we do for some like dramatic sounding variation? Ah, wait, our chorus mix. What is doing that? Oh, if we put it around like there, we get some very interesting sounding effects. Maybe if it just goes down from here. Okay, so that could be all we have for, well, at least for now, on that track. Okay, then let's go to Serum 2, and I would like to record ready this. I'm gonna take the zoom out here first. I'm gonna take the MIDI from this top track, and I'm gonna drag it down to the bottom track. Hopefully it does not save any of the... I did save some of the automation on Serum's macro 3, but we don't need that. We'll get rid of it. Goodbye. We're going to do entirely new automation on this track. Mute this one so we don't hear it, and then let's see here. So we want to go into here. Let's hear what this sounds like just on its own. Awesome. Alright, well, I could go on and do a whole bunch of automation on this one and get this one to sound cool and varied and stuff. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make, I'm going to leave this open just as is. I'll probably do some more automation on this one later, but we're going to go ahead and move forward. And by the way, I'll have this all exported and stuff into Soundtrap on Monday, and I can show you guys the process of that if you're really curious. But that I'm going to do off camera, and I'm just going to be doing stuff in Ableton today, and then moving it over on Monday, getting it all integrated then. Because in the meantime, I will be doing a little bit more off camera to the automation of this bass to make it sound really cool and really varied, and also probably get more snapshots and more sounds. And the cool thing about this is, as I'm doing this sound design for this project, I'm essentially building myself a library of sounds that I can use later on. So like, if I make a really cool sounding bass, I can save that as a sample, and then when I come back to make a song later on or make some other project, I have that in my library ready to use. So you might have been able to see. Let me perhaps load up another track here and put on Serum. You'll see how many presets I had saved. These are all of the... If we go down here to user, you can see all of these names. Some of them are like presets that other people made, right? I've got a lot of those too. But then you have user, and then this is all of the sounds that I have made or altered from other patches. And I save everything so that you can come back and start from a patch you've had before, or reuse a patch you've had before. Kind of saves you on time, especially when you typically go for the same sorts of controls and same style of sound design every time anyway. Like if you're gonna go in, you know what sound you're going for. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But like after a while, you would come in with a general idea of what you want to accomplish in a synth. And if you have presets that you've made before, you kind of have a starting point. So let me just load up another one of these. Serum preset. Oops, I'm still record ready on the other one. Let's hop over to the actual track. And what was the point of this one? Here's another bass I made. Sidechain Bubbles. Does what you think it does. I think this one's using a phaser to achieve the bubble effect. So it's called Sidechain Bubbles because it's like a pumping, like. So it. I can explain more what sidechain means when we get into using that in an actual arrangement, because sidechain will be quite important, especially in mixing electronic music. But we're not going to get to that today. That's more of an arrangement. Actually, has to do with compression. So maybe I could have talked about it on that day, but I will come back to it, and we'll talk about sidechain and other arrangement things next week. Will be a lot about song making and arrangement and how to actually get a song done, because we've spent a lot of time about talking about effects and concepts and music theory and all this preliminary stuff to like actually starting a song and having some kind of general knowledge of what you're doing. Like, all right, you got to make a chord progression, you got to make a beat, but we have yet to find out, well, what do we actually have to do to finish the song? We might know how to start. Okay, we could pick some loops, put them together, and cool, we have a beat. But then how do we make that into an arrangement? How do we make that into a song? That's what we're going to focus on next week. Once we have all of our parts in, because right now I'm sort of designing all the parts that are going to go in the song, all the sound bits and the audio. I've chosen a lot from the loop browser here, but I'm going to choose a couple more, and then we're going to layer them on top. But we're going to talk about how to get this. I mean, we've already kind of started on it and getting separate sections out there with different themes and such. But we're going to talk about how to get something to completion and how to keep yourself going, how to keep yourself motivated, and making sure that you that you don't get bored. There's this thing called workflow. It's like how do you make music? In what order do you do it? How much time do you spend on one thing versus another thing? Time management. It's a huge thing to get around, especially when you're working with something like this, with like music making, because you start with a blank slate. You start with just thousands and thousands of loops and instruments, so many options. But where do you start? Well, you go back to your examples. You grab something, you pick it, you throw it in. You grab other things that share the same key, share the same rhythm, and you find things that work together. But how do you continue it? what do you do to make a loop into a song? Well, you have to find some stuff that supports it and then create variations as you go along. But yeah, that'll be the whole kind of general idea of next week, because we're going to be doing this song and we're going to be trying to increase the pace a little bit and pumping out a couple more songs, and I would like to do it with you all, because I'm going to be talking about getting a song done. I'd like to get a song done with students, with y'all, and that would be beneficial because we'd be working on a song together, and you'd be actually actively thinking about it, and I could help you along the way. So yeah, go ahead and stop by if you are in this stream, if you are watching the VOD and you want to decide to show up on any of the future streams. You are free to collaborate and work on some music together. I'm thinking, is there anything else here? So yeah, I'm going to design these patches, throw them into Soundtrap, get them all working. I've just been working on bass today. I'd like to make a couple patches for like an arpeggiator and another pad, meaning like another like chord sound. This would be a pad. Something else that just gives us our chords, like another variation of that sound. We do have that already, but it's kind of like the same patch. I want a different sound entirely. And then melody's a thing too. I mean, there could be lyrics, there could be a lead sound, or there could not be. You know, a lot of songs don't have. Some songs don't have melodies. And that's fine. That's fine, because I'm also terrible at melodies. Well, I wouldn't say I'm terrible at melodies. I'm terrible at lyrics. So that's why you'll never hear me singing on any of my songs or anything like that, because I don't know how to lyric. I don't know how to make words in songs sound good. Nor am I confident in my ability. I'm pretty sure I could sing, but it's like meh. But why, when I can make any other sound with this fancy software, I can make something that sounds like a voice? Why would I sing? You know, it's much cooler to me to listen to like crazy sounding synthesizers and weird sounds you never heard before than vocals. At least that's just kind of my preference. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you would differ. Like a good vocalist, a good rap artist too. Like, I mean, they can support each other. You can have a cool sounding synth and vocal on top of it, and hey, that might just be what you want to do. And it's up to you all. But don't ask me for lyrics. All right, I think that is pretty good. I don't know if there's anything else we might want to accomplish today. Perhaps I could put together a little pad sound. I've kind of been hyper focusing on bass this whole time, so maybe I'll just kind of put together a short little demo patch for a pad. So pad's something that we kind of have like a sustained note, so we're going to go up a couple octaves. So we want something that's going to sound good with multiple notes, and it's definitely not this. Let's choose a different wavetable. Let's scroll through it. Another thing you could do is increase this thing called Unison. It says increase multiple voices for oscillator A. So what it's going to do is essentially create more oscillators and stack them on top of each other, and it's going to create this phasing and in and out effect with the pitch that you might remember we encountered the other day. Here's with no unison, and then if we were to detune the different voices, oh yeah, we did this with analog. We had two oscillators, and we detuned them a little bit, by a couple cents, and it created this cool sounding effect. And now you can get that here. Of course, don't go too extreme, or you just get a chord. Maybe you want so that could be a cool layer for it. And then on top of it, we're gonna put something a little bit more, I don't know, noisy. Let's try something from this collection. Let's throw an LFO on the wavetable position. Let's bend this one maybe. Just trying to create some variation on the, some subtle movement. Okay, that's pretty good. Now let's try multiple notes. Now that's like very airy. Maybe if I put a filter on it, maybe just on B, and I kind of like had the filter come out when I played the note, so I had it come up and then come back down for a little bit, based on this envelope, so it'll attack. Same with our volume. I want it to fade in a little bit. So with a pad, you want something that like has a slower attack, and it's not right away. Duh! You want something just like a string, you know, like when a string is bowed. That's kind of what you're going for. So you want an attack that slopes up like this instead of something that's like straight up like. I mean, hey, maybe you want that. Sometimes I go for pads with immediate attacks because there's a lot more going on, and you know, it depends on the situation. But generally, you want a slower attack for a pad, and then a long release so that you can so that it kind of hangs around. Right. Maybe we have it decayed down a sec, and then to have at a lower sustain level. Maybe a 3-second release or so. You know what it is? It's that filter. Yeah, I want the release of the filter to also be brought out. So that's kind of comes down slow. Maybe the filter can attack a little faster. Maybe less on that release. So it's a cool sounding pad, and then maybe we could throw some reverb on it to give it some more room. Give it some more airiness. A little bit bigger, please. No high cut. A little bit of a low cut, though. Some compression. Let's drive it into this a little bit. Maybe move this around a little. Throw a high pass on it. have a nice sounding pad. Lovely. Maybe a little bit of chorusing on it would do it some good. Lower filter cutoff would also do this waveform some good. So I want to go to the envelope 2, and I'm going to bring this up less. Nice. A nice airy sounding pad. Beautiful. So then if I took the chords that I have here, okay, I don't want to copy it over again. But yeah, that's another thing that can happen off camera. We're going to copy the chords in and get a nice sounding pad and get a nice sounding arpeggio, which will skip between the notes in the chord and do it in a cool sounding way with a synth that I designed specifically for that sound. And yeah, when we come back on Monday, we're going to have something like that. Move it all over, get it into Soundtrap, and move on from there. Move on with our arrangement of this track, and we can finally get our first song done, and we can publish something. And maybe you guys can publish something too. I don't want to be the only one publishing stuff. You know, y'all can participate too. I would love to see some student projects coming up, and y'all trying things out. Excuse me, by the way. That would make me happy, and it should make y'all happy because this is fun. This is fun. I find this fun. I really enjoy Soundtrap. I really enjoy making music, and I hope y'all would too. Alrighty. Saving up this project. I'm going to sign off. So yeah, tune in on Monday, and we're going to have all of this exported over, and we're going to start arranging, and it's going to be great. Alrighty.